come on.
That'll go. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us for our first TATT Chat. And I'm looking forward to, again, hearing some informative information about our region, but more importantly, we have a guest presentation. I think it's pretty timely since she's going to talk a lot about veterans, and with next Wednesday being Veterans Day, that's a very timely subject. Our guest today is Jordana. I'm probably going to butcher that.
You won't be the first. It's
I won't be the first. McGonigal.
Close enough.
Okay, my English teacher mother would be rolling in her grave right now that I butchered that. I should have been able to phonetically get that correct. But welcome. I've not met her before. I read the op-ed that you did in our newsletter, and this is something that I think we all should pay attention to. I've been involved in trying to get, even from just the keeping our vets off the streets and homelessness and so forth, and that's very important for all of us to be considerate of. But having said all that, I'm going to just invite Jordana to introduce herself and tell us what she does. Jordana.
Yeah, thank you so much. Am I unmuted and everything? Okay.
You're good.
Okay. Sorry, the tech has just been, it's just something else this year, isn't it? So yes, so my name is Jordana McGonigal. I am currently the CEO of the Recon Network. So I know a lot of you, actually, some of you from my past life as publisher of Business Black Box, which was a business and economic development publication here in the upstate. So I do get a little sentimental when we talk about that because it was a great thing that I was involved in and love to do. But it was actually through that we started the Recon Network. We had done some information on veteran hiring and what it meant for our workforce, and just the more and more I waded in, the more I realized how important it really was. So for everybody here today, I'm going to talk a little bit, I'll tell you about what we do, but then I'll talk to you about what I see as one of the biggest needs in as we're talking about veteran hiring among our companies that there is right now. So the Recon Network, we focus on the human element of veteran transition. And what that means is for veterans who are in transition, whether that is just coming out of the military or whether that is 5 years or 15 years or even 30 years down the road, there's a lot of things to do, right? There's find a job, update your resume, meet new people on LinkedIn, update your profile, all of these things. There's a checklist of all of the things to do. What we are more concerned with is the human element and how individuals navigate that transition successfully. And so what I mean when I talk about the human element is things like finding purpose in transition and determining what creates a meaningful career, not just a job. Don't just find a job, find something that is meaningful and that has meaning for you that you can stay in. We talk about motivation. We talk about identity, goal setting, all of these things, creating your own mission and vision, all of these things that oftentimes our servicemen and women get out and they've never had to consider, who am I? They've never had to consider, what do I do next? Because it's all been handed to them. So when we look at the human element, we do that for a number of reasons, but primarily is when we start focusing on things like purpose and meaning, especially, I'll use that as an example. We're not just talking about some Zen moment of peace that you find when you find yourself. That's not what we're talking about. It has been scientifically proven in a number of studies that those who operate in some sort of purpose or operate under some purpose of meaning, they learn better, They learn faster, they retain knowledge more, they stay in their jobs longer, which on the corporate side, retention being an issue, especially among the veteran population, is a big deal. They have better health, and that's not just mental health, that's actually physical health. They are more able to, or they have less neurological degenerative issues as we age. So, and this is not just in the veteran community, this is all of humans. Like, this is how we operate. We operate with purpose, we operate with meaning. That's what we're intended to do. So all we do is we try and help veterans and military spouses achieve all those goals. So if that means we have the upcoming summit, which I'm sure we'll talk about. We have a goal setting workshop at the end of the year to help people just kind of get everything settled. We have blogs on how to stay motivated or how to keep from getting discouraged and down in the time of COVID. You know, how do you navigate all of these different things? So that's what we do with Recon. We do it in a number of ways, with resources, webinars, all that kind of stuff. And we do it through events, typically through live events. This year, not so much. So we have taken our annual summit that we have usually hosted in Greenville, and we are putting it online virtually for 2 days, November 19th and 20th. And the great part about this is that we have 3 tracks of learning on this event. One is for veterans and transitioning service members. One is for military spouses. But the third, and this is what I really want to mention to you guys today, is for hiring companies. So when we talk about hiring veterans, a lot of times the onus is kind of put on the veteran themselves. Okay, well, update your resume, get your profile right, network with the right people, know this, you know, all of these things that we put on a person who is already in multiple stages of transition. They're already having to move to new places, find a new house. They may have new family that they're not familiar with in some cases. They're also looking for a job and learning how to network and all of these other things. But there's just as much an equal responsibility on the hiring side. On the hiring side, especially if we want to actually make progress in the area of successful veteran hiring, we have to learn how to translate skills from the military career into a civilian career. We have to understand that just because their title wasn't X doesn't mean that they are entry level at that job. We have to understand that there are different cultures in play, even though you're speaking the same language and you know, from the same area, there are totally different cultures involved. And so the more that we can educate all sides of the equation, the companies, the veterans, the military spouses, and get everybody on the same page, the more successful we will be in veteran hiring. So we've had that track, we've added that track into this year's summit as well. So I don't know what else you guys want me to cover. I'm happy to answer any questions about any of this, but I would love to see you guys at the summit this year if your company is interested at all in hiring and retaining veterans and military spouses.
Well, Jordan, I want to start with a couple things, and then we'll open it up for some questions through chat. The first thing is, you know, you talked about, you know, and I think it's, you know, an interesting dynamic. In most cases, you know, people who have been in the military, you know, they've had, you talk about responsibilities of jobs, you know, they've had incredible responsibilities, but yet because those skills are different than, you know, in many jobs, you know, that are available outside of the military, they often seem to struggle with finding their niche. How do you work? You mentioned kind of translating those jobs. How do you do that? And, you know, what are some of the techniques there for, you know, for kind of extrapolating out for someone what their skill sets are? Forget the you know, specific training type, you know, of a job, but those other kind of soft skills, other skills that we hear so often are missing by workers today.
Yeah, so I think to answer that question, there's a few things that we can do. One, through the Recon Network, we offer a number of different platforms. So one, we have partner organizations like Veterans Ascend, who actually has a platform that does all of that translation for you. The veteran uploads their resume, and you on the corporate side are looking for, someone in a logistics management position or something like that. And Veterans Ascend kind of does the job, says, hey, boom, hey, this guy has all of the skills that you're looking for. So there's organizations like that across the US, but especially here. Veterans Ascend is a local company, a locally owned, founded company. So we partner with organizations like that. We actually have rights to distribute an assessment called the Career Choice GPS assessment, which is like 98.2% predictive of a person's true fit, career fit. So it actually, they take the assessment and it shoots out a score, like you are really high scoring in management and finance, but not so much in communications. Well, that just automatically gives them some sort of parameters to start considering. But I think too, one thing that we can do on the hiring side, all of us can do, is understanding that fit is important, and that, giving someone a job just because they have veteran status is not the way to do it. But also we have systematically systems in place that omit veterans a lot of times. So automatic tracking systems tend to, because they're not using the same language, they're not getting to the HR department. So there are things that I think we can do just in terms of helping progress those things along across the board.
So I've got several good questions here. I'll kind of start peeling through them. The first one relates to tax benefits or financial incentives for hiring veterans. What does that look like?
Yes. So I am so glad you asked, because we are actually going to break this down in detail at the Vet Summit coming up. Yay. So, hey, I'll pay you your commission check later. Outside of that, so yes, veterans, there is something called work opportunity tax credits. And very generally, because you can get into a lot of detail with this, and I won't do that because we just don't have time, but generally, if a veteran is WOTC certified, means they've already gone through a certification process, you can, with a relatively friendly amount of government paperwork, as friendly as that can be, also qualify to get tax credits for hiring them. So if you have 3 applicants in front of you, all things being equal, one of them is a veteran, and that veteran happens to be WOTC certified, or even if they're not, but they could be, you can get tax credits. And those tax credits go anywhere from $2,400 a year in the first year to $9,600. So these are substantial credits that could make a huge difference to companies if they are hiring veterans. And if you're hiring multiples, then, I mean, just consider the factors there. A few things to keep in mind, that you can't retroactively apply for that certification status. It has to be in place on both sides when the job offer is made. So if that is something that you are all interested in, you need to know about that before you get to that point, because otherwise you're not going to get any money off of it. But it's a great way to incentivize veteran employment that the Department of Labor has put in place. So I would encourage everyone to learn more about that. And as I said, with the Vet Summit, we will have a breakdown with another one of our partners, VTC Veterans Tax Credits, that he specializes in. He is an expert in this, and also you can hire him to do all the paperwork, which is awesome. So that's something as well. So
great. So we've got a number of questions specifically about your organization. I'm going to hold those off for a minute and kind of stay with kind of the more general picture with a couple questions. I'm going to read something came in from Doug Stevenson, who says when he retired from the military, I assume in '93, a big problem was that service members did not take proper advantage of required transition assistance programs, which were supposed to help them, as well as the command career counselors preparing them for civilian life. The VA does have good skill translation materials. The vet reps at the various SC works can help with that. But his question is, what is the difference now as opposed to '93, so almost 30 years ago, in terms of the work directly with someone who comes in after retiring?
There is zero difference between what you just described and the way it is now, and I'll explain that. So we constantly get servicemen and women who have transitioned out and who did not take advantage of the TAPS programs, transition assistance programs. This is not unusual. You know, if you think of a college senior or a high school senior, they get senioritis. Your brain kind of shuts off when you're done and you don't really care what else is going to happen. The other challenge is that TAPS programs typically, and I say typically because each base is different. And we, you know, even in the state of South Carolina, we have 8 active bases here. So consider that, you know, typically they are focused on benefits. So you have a GI benefit. Here's what it looks like. Here's what it covers. Here's all these. They're not talking about how to go network in a lot of cases. They're not teaching. They may have a resume, you know, someone to look over a resume, but they're not talking about what that actually means to know how to tell someone what you did in civilian terms. So there are a lot of challenges inherent in the system, but if we see all of the pieces for what they are and what they are good at, then we can kind of work around that. So if we understand that TAPS programs are primarily focused on the benefit side and on the very practicum, the practical side, then we can start filling in those blanks. And so some of those blanks get filled in by SC work, some of those are filled in by the VA. And there's any number, I want to say there's like 400,000. I'll double check this number, but there's veteran service organizations through the nose across the US, and all of them do stuff like this. So there are definitely resources available. The trick is getting to find the right one that does the thing that you need or that the veteran needs, and to ensure that they actually do it. Because another challenge, in the state of South Carolina, we have anywhere from 1,500 to 1,800 VSOs, which means that most of them are not doing anything. They're, you know, if we had 1,800 viable working veteran service organizations across our state, we should have 0 problems with housing. We should have 0 problems with VAs. We should have 0 problems with employment, but that's just not the case. So I think there's a number of issues that need to be addressed, but in general, to answer your question, not much has changed from when you did it, and we still have a lot of the same challenges.
So I want to switch for a second to veteran spouses, because you mentioned them. Yes. What do you guys work with, or what is the challenges as it relates to spouses when you know, when their spouse leaves the military and they're looking to get back into civilian work and settle down and those kind of things? What does that look like?
So military spouses are kind of unique in the situation that in many situations, they are seen as, and I hate using this term, but support staff, right? So the main job is the military, and whatever else has to happen to support that job happens. So if that means that you are a certified nurse in Massachusetts and your spouse gets transferred, then guess what? You're no longer a certified nurse in Massachusetts. You know, you're going to Nevada or Texas or wherever you're going. The other challenge is a lot of time military spouses will have large gaps in their work history. And so, you know, because of this moving around, or because they stayed home to raise children, or what have you, You could have a 5 or a 10 or a 12-year gap in work history. So these are issues that to an HR person who's not understanding the type of person that they're looking at can go, I mean, okay, this person bounced around to like 7 different states. Ugh, they're terrible. They're never going to stay put, that kind of thing. Or they haven't worked in 12 years. What's wrong with them? When the reality is they're more than capable. They may they have active certifications or certifications that can be translated or easily renewed in that state. They just kind of need a direction to go. So I think those are 2 of the main challenges that we see with military spouses that, with a little bit of understanding about, again, that market demographic could be relatively easily addressed.
Great. So I've got several questions specifically about kind of your organization, your reach, and who you deal with. The first one is, how far does your employment reach go? What counties, region, talk a little bit about what you guys do.
Yeah,
what areas?
Okay, so we started here in Greenville, South Carolina. We started very locally, and I think it was our first event that the Pentagon caught word of what we were doing, came down and scouted the event, and at that event told us, we need this at every city across the US. And I laughed my head off because that was the craziest thing I had ever heard in my life. And then the more I thought of it over the next year, the more I realized, especially because of the focus that we have, that he was right. So as of right now, we are nationally focused with global reach. And what I mean is we're focused on United States military and military families and veterans, but sometimes those veterans are still stationed elsewhere across the earth, and maybe currently in transition. The transition period is not 2 weeks like we're used to in the corporate world. It's actually 12 to 18 months that you're going to separate. And so we will get a lot of times, someone who is stationed in Estonia or South Africa who or Germany, and they're in that transition phase, but they're trying to get their ducks in a row. They're being the proactive ones, and so we'll get contact there. So our focus is very American focused across the world, if that makes sense. That being said,
how do vets find you?
We have a very, very wide network. I see one question, or I thought I saw one about, are we familiar with the Upstate Warrior Solution? Yes, very. We work very, very closely, especially locally, with Upstate Warrior Solution, but across the US with organizations just like them. I've mentioned a couple as we've talked, but the very cool thing about the veteran and military friendly networks is that they are very helpful. So if, I put out a call, I think on LinkedIn earlier today, and immediately it got shared, and we had like 4 registrations within about 2 minutes. Another person in our network did a podcast, and we were featured, and by the time we had ended the podcast, we already had 30 registrations. So there's this huge network that once you can start kind of divvying it out, figuring out who does what and help each other, it kind of supports itself. So we find vets from just them finding us through digital means, SEO, online, through our LinkedIn networks, and then through our partner networks.
Great. A few more questions. The next one is, and I don't know that you guys do this specifically, but you can probably help with where to go to find it. And that's with a list of veteran-owned businesses. Where would you find a list in the different communities of veteran-owned businesses? How this is one of the chambers, local chambers, asking about.
You know what? Off the top of my head, I don't know that, but I am confident I can get you an answer. So,
okay. Or Aaron, you may have an answer. Aaron Oots, you may know something related to that too. But Jordana, if you can share that with us, I'll get that to Susan.
Mhm.
I'll ask around, but Jordana will more than likely have a better chance of finding it.
Yeah, it's tricky because veteran-owned status is something that has to be, it's like women-owned status. You have to specifically apply for, so it will be by no means comprehensive of actual numbers of veteran-owned businesses. You know, if we manage to find it, it will likely not be comprehensive. But that's also something worth mentioning as well. You know, if you look at VA numbers, how many veterans we have across the state of South Carolina, it's upward of like, I want to say it's upward of like 420,000. That number only reflects veterans who have opted in some way through the VA. They have been served through the VA. If we went by real numbers, we're probably looking at double that. So there's no way there's challenges inherent in talking about this population, not just in, you know, what is certified, but also how do you identify who is and isn't, and there is no way to do that right now. So
yes, there is a website called veteranownedbusiness.com, and then another one, avosba.org. So that would be veteran-owned businesses as well, but I don't know how to, I haven't looked at it to break it out to see if there is information about just our area.
Right.
Well, Erin, if you can put that in the chat, that would be great. A couple more questions. You know, and this one is certainly we're talking about veterans, but I think this is a challenge. Lori mentions the certification problem for people coming in or out of South Carolina specifically is with reciprocity. I butchered that word, but you guys know what I mean. You know, that's I'm sure in the military people, I mean, they deal with that all the time, but that is such a challenge. Has there been legislation discussions at the legislature about dealing with that, and where's the status there, and what could be done there?
Yes. The answer is yes. Across the nation, the answer is yes. This is a huge issue, especially when it comes to military spouses. Because as you move, you know, oh, you're saying I have to relicense as a teacher in each state. That can be really daunting, especially if you are, you know, looking at 2-year terms and it takes you 9 months to get certified in something. So this is a huge issue. In South Carolina specifically, yes, I can say with confidence that this has been put in the legislature for at least 2, but I think 3 years now. It was an avenue headed up by the military-based task force in South Carolina, which was dissolved last year as we got our new VA secretary in, I guess, gosh, it was earlier this year. It feels like 100 years ago, 2020. So this is a big issue in South Carolina. You can expect, it has not been resolved. You can expect to see more about it coming up. So it's definitely something, and it will be something that will require voices from the business community in order to pass. You really, you know, stuff like this, you do have a voice in. So please contact your legislators, especially all the new ones that are out there now looking for stuff to do. Right. Let them know what you're looking for. And I see Lori kind of.
Yeah, Lori.
Yeah, Jordana, I wanted you to know that prior to my leaving a Child's Haven, now it's been a year, November, it's a huge issue in behavioral health for licensed clinical social workers, licensed professional counselors. And so I began reaching out to local legislators and in particular, those that were working on it. And then I left, so I don't know where it went, but Bruce Bannister, Jason Elliott, and Chandra Dillard are all extremely aware and supportive. And the Chris Steed of, oh my God, what's his nonprofit in
Fullerton
Foundation. Fuller. So Jordana, their board agreed to do a study on the reciprocity issue. It's also an issue for truck drivers. It's such a big issue. And what Bruce said was where it got hung up in our General Assembly a couple of years ago was with the dental industry, because the for-profit dentists were, not wanting to have people to come in from other states, but for various reasons, like the military, or, we're such a popular state that we're bringing in employees, but then their spouse can't work. So I just wanted to let you know, if you wanted, because I did not raise the military issue when we raised it, but it may be another avenue to approach them with this.
Absolutely. And I remain active in South Carolina at whatever level I'm allowed to be at. So I know that is an issue that remains. They were really focused on retirement tax issues for the past couple of years. That kind of took a precedence for some economic reasons and political reasons as well. But I fully expect that they will be grabbing that back up soon, because again, I said nationally, it's a big deal and everyone is trying to figure out how to fix it.
Well, and one of the issues that we've worked on in partnership with public education partners in the K-12 system across the state is for teachers. So, I know, having moved here, with my wife was a certified teacher in Florida, and when we came to South Carolina, it was a lot of effort to get certified here in South Carolina. So I think there's a lot of fields where that is an issue, and especially in ones where where we have shortages is critical. Couple final questions. One is the Recon Network part of SCACE, the South Carolina Association for Colleges and Employers, or some other similar higher education organization?
Okay, so no, we are not. We haven't really delved into getting involved in a lot of associations formally. I'll just say that across the board. I'm very familiar with and have spoken with CCOM, Southeastern Council of something that I can't remember, that I will try and pick up for you guys. So that entire entity, especially colleges and employers, yes, we try to get involved with them as much as possible. Education is a huge factor in what we do and in the transition process in general. But we are not formally aligned at this point with any of those organizations.
All right, then last question, and then one final point to talk about, but is about the federal bonding program that can benefit some vets. Doug mentioned that. Are you familiar? Is that something that you guys work with?
I'm not familiar with it. To that description, I'm not familiar with it, but I'm happy to talk about it. And it might be that I know it is something else, and it may be that I'm completely clueless.
Right. Okay. Well, and Doug, if you want to put something else in there, that'd be fine. So my last question, the question was, how are you all funded? And it might have been before everybody else came on. You mentioned that you guys have had to postpone several events this year, which is a big part of your revenue. So talk, you've got the event coming up on the 19th and 20th, and you're very gracious, Erica, if you haven't already, if you'll put in the code, for someone to register for 25% off. But I assume, that, and we've dealt with it, everybody who, especially nonprofits who deal with, have events that help them with fundraising. This has been a challenging year, but I would assume, I know fundraising or events is a big part of your fundraising. And so, this event coming up, you are charging for, and it is a fundraiser for the organization, correct?
Yes. So I want to tackle a few things within there, because I think some of this is rather important. And it's a question we get a lot is, it's assumed a lot that we are a nonprofit. We are not a nonprofit. There are reasons for that, but primarily the reason is because we work with so many other nonprofits within this space that I never wanted to be in a situation where we were competing with them for grant dollars or for foundation dollars or anything else. So that was a decision we made early on. So we are a nonprofit that pays taxes and all of that kind of stuff. I don't take a salary. It is not something that, you know, this is not done for our personal revenue. So how we are funded is one of two ways. One is through our events. So while our events are always free, all of our services are free for veterans and military spouses. Our corporate ticket, you will notice there is a small charge. It's incremental, really, but we are funded typically through sponsors of our live events, as well as ticket sales to our live events. Not having any live events, having to cancel 6 of those this year, definitely has been a little painful, but we are, you know, fortunate in that because I don't take a salary, we have low overhead, so we just kind of keep pushing on. The other way that we raise funds is through corporate partners. So very similar to a lot of the corporate partners that you have, Dean. We have partners like Wells Fargo and ScanSource and military talent partners who work with us, and basically they sign on as partners for a year. And with those funds, we are allowed to kind of grow the programs and the offerings through what we do. And then in turn, we promote the different things that they do at a kind of a different level. We do promotions for anyone in our space, but theirs is a little bit more intentional, I would say. So that's the two ways that we do earn money and kind of fund everything that we do. But again, because we have that low overhead, we are fortunate in that we've been able to just kind of keep going through 2020, and hopefully not much longer than that will we have to keep scrimping and saving. So
sure. Well, again, thank you, Jordana, for sharing some time with us. I guess as a recap for anyone, you know, the 19th and 20th in the event, there are tracks for, if you know of recently out of the military folks. My brother retired earlier this year, and so I'm going to reach out to him about it. He lives in Colorado. So, you know, someone who's recently left the military. And then also for businesses, you know, a lot of businesses want to hire veterans. Well, it sounds like there's a way for you to do that. And then military spouses as well. So a lot of good information. The links are here to answer the question. We will, in our recap email that we send out on Fridays, we'll have all the information for this event from today with links and everything. So we'll be sending that out a couple times. And then, of course, we record all of these sessions. So Jordana, thank you so much for being with us and for your time, and good luck with the event in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate all y'all's time. I know everyone is super busy these days, so I appreciate you taking a few minutes to learn more about it.
Sure. Well, Terrence, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead because we want to make sure we get all the county updates. Again, I want to thank all of our partners. Our leadership level partners are shown here in the graphic. We're not going to do a poll today. I think we're all polled out right now with everything going on in the election and stuff. So gonna not do that. But real quick, just a reminder, our fall winter event, the Upstate Unsung Heroes virtual event, is coming up on the 18th. So 2 weeks from yesterday. We are really excited. It is going to be a very interactive event. And if you have not registered yet, please do so by next Wednesday, the 11th, because I mean, we'll take registrations up till the very day, but we're sending a special gift that includes something for you to use as, you know, part of the interactive element of the event by next Wednesday. So please register for the event, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So with that, Erica will also put on, we have a couple events a couple meetings coming up in the next couple of weeks. The Sneak Peek Young Professionals event next Thursday, the 12th. And then also on the 12th, the senior workshop is coming up on the 12th as well. So check out other events that we have going on through 10 at the Top. And with that, Justine, I'll turn it over to you to do our county updates.
Okay, thanks. Okay, let's start with Shannon Sears with WCTEL. He's going to talk about what's going on in Abbeville, but I think a little more specifically with WCTEL. Thanks, Shannon.
Yeah, thank you, Justine. And hello from Abbeville. Good to see everybody's faces. I just have a quick update. Tim Hall gave me the city of Abbeville updates, and they have two grant infrastructure projects underway. One is a $4 million waste treatment facility upgrade, and the other is a water line upgrade for $500,000. Additionally, they have a $12 million housing investment that's underway in downtown Abbeville, so they're excited about that. There are several new small businesses in downtown Abbeville, so if you haven't been to Abbeville lately or you're passing through, stop by and see some of the things we have going on downtown. The city, he also said the city is back working under normal pre-COVID operations. So WC Fiber, Justine mentioned that. We made an announcement last week of a partnership between WC Fiber and Blue Ridge Electric Cooperative. WC Fiber will be providing high-speed internet service to Blue Ridge customers. So we're excited about that. I think the Blue Ridge customers are about 67,000 in the upstate. Some of them are underserved with internet. So we're excited to be partnering with them to do that. Both of us are cooperatives. So we have a history of, customer service and, community support. So we're excited to announce that. If you want to know any more about that, you go to gigupblueridge.com. And there's a lot of information on that website. So that's about all I have, Justine, but thank you. It's good to see everybody.
Thank you very much. My parents used to live at Savannah Lakes Village, but they don't anymore. So I miss our little trips to Abbeville. It's such a cute little downtown.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and the Franny Stockwell, who we appreciate coming every other week and telling us what's going on in Cherokee County from the Chamber of Commerce. Thanks, Franny.
Thank you. So there's not much going on in Cherokee County that can be discussed at this time.
Hey, Franny, sorry, you're real quiet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear? Can you hear any better?
No.
A little better.
Just talk real loud. It'll be fine.
Okay. So I may sound like I'm screaming. I'm sorry. I feel like I am. We do have a job fair November the 19th coming up. That's all of Cherokee County. So we have some big people doing that. That's already registered: Dollar Tree, Brown Pack, and National Guard, the school district, OpSource, Home Fashions. We also have the chamber is working on public transportation here in Cherokee County. So we have sent a survey out to all of Cherokee County to fill out that survey to determine how often they would use public transportation, what they would use it for, as far as getting back and forth to work or medical or whatever the case may be. We have some more small businesses that have opened in Cherokee County, so that's a good thing. Just met with the mall today, and they are full force staying open, trying their best to make sure that is still going to happen. And they're renting out spaces to small businesses now to try to get some of that income back. And several people have already taken initiative to do that there. We met with the Catawba Indians a couple weeks ago with the chamber and the county, trying to see what we can do to work together on 85 with transportation, with other things coming to Cherokee County. And they are all about helping out. So hopefully that will work out and good things will come from that.
Thank you so much. That's that'll be interesting to go to the yellow, what do you call it? The yellow mall, the yellow, and see some businesses in there, but whatever it takes.
Yes.
Thanks, Franny. Okay, Mr. Roy Costner, Pickens County Chairman, will give us a Pickens County update.
Great. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity here. Just a couple things to mention. Like everybody else, we're seeing the spikes in COVID, but hopefully we're still working hard on that. As far as economic data, though, pretty cool. Our unemployment rate in Pickens County is down to 3.5%, with the state being at 5.1%. We're pretty happy about that. We've got a lot that we've been working on with Hurricane Zeta and our cleanup around there. We had 60 roads closed, all are back up, with the exception of 4 more that we've got to finish up. But a cool thing that we're doing in the most photographed place in all the state is Table Rock in Pickens County. And there's nowhere to pull off. People are stopping in the middle of the road and taking that picture. So we got a grant, and we're going to be working on creating an overlook and a nice place for people to pull off to be able to take the picture there. A couple of other things. Shannon Sears, I appreciate you saying that about the broadband stuff and the things that you guys got going on down there, because we're taking it on in Pickens County. Very excited about all of our public-private partnerships. And that's something that's really come out of the things that we've been working on with Pickens County. Not to mention, we're working towards a broadband initiative for our county, and we're so impressed with what they've done in Abbeville. We've been talking about you in our council meetings. We're working on that coming up soon. And we just created a new public-private partnership with a company called Clemson Paw Partners. And everybody's got the problem with the animals in their county. And this has just been a great relationship with them, and they should be up and running soon. We have 2 new councilmen that are coming on board, Alex Seda and Henry Wilson. And the other thing I was going to mention, I love the drive-through job fairs. Our Alliance Pickens has just finished one today at Pickens High School, and those seem to be going really well. So just thank you guys. And Shannon, my brother's in Charles is in Abbeville, so tell him I said hey.
Thank you so much. Okay, Sarah Butler from USC Upstate. Thanks for coming on, Sarah.
Glad to be here and participate. So I'm mainly sharing some updates from USC Upstate and Spartanburg County, and just kind of things from a higher ed perspective, since we have so many colleges and universities in Spartanburg County. And as a general consensus, we are all very much so concerned and hyper aware of COVID-19 procedures and things to that extent. So some of the things that have happened at USC Upstate that I can speak to is that almost all colleges and universities have created some type of COVID response team. And there's some kind of weekly public health updates. At Upstate, we get ours from our Human Resources Department as faculty and staff members, and also our chancellor, but things from the university provost and student affairs, they also go out to students. And I think across most campuses, they are seeing an uptick or an increase in positive cases, and some that are associated with that respective university. And this also mirrors what they're seeing nationally. And so they are responding to what public health officials are also wanting us to be conscientious and act responsibly. So I have never in my 12 years in higher education seen so much communication from our administration to students about practicing safety protocols and certain measures, you know, whether it's knowing your status, following protocols, and even the access to resources that they have. So some of the services that we have available on the college campuses are, you know, access to health services, free testing, free COVID testing. And then there's some additional support such as counseling services. A number of students have suffered from COVID-19 personally, you know, health-wise, or a parent or a sibling has tested positive, and it's been difficult for them to continue their classes. So, or some others have experienced some type of loss, whether it's financial or health-wise or freedom or grief from a loved one who has died. So there's counseling services available, and then the employee assistance programs for our faculty and staff. 2 things that I did want to point out, and there are things similar in various institutions, is modules or resources available to the faculty and that available to the students. So many students like to learn in person. Who knew? And that's just their learning preference. And so that has definitely been a challenge because the majority of our classes have been virtual. I think the term and the platform Zoom has probably been used more times than ever. I think the only time before this that I used Zoom was in a children's book to, you know, explain how something goes fast, not necessarily as a technological platform that I would be getting on daily to handle business. So there have definitely been those aspects. We have something called Keep On Learning and Keep On Teaching. And so Keep On Learning helps students with the methods that they need in order to do well in their classes. The Keep On Learning aspect, you know, helps them stay in touch and help them with their learning and getting technical support, you know, when their internet connection is very weak, and internet access, really understanding what designated spaces there are for virtual classes. And the same goes for our professors or our faculty. You know, many of them, especially our veteran faculty, have never taught a class virtually. So taking something that could be very hands-on and making that into a virtual or online blended platform has definitely changed. So if any of you have, you know, been an adjunct or a guest lecturer, you know, in any of these courses, I think the student engagement has definitely been better in person. So at any rate, these are all aspects that we are covering in higher education. And I think the question I get the most is, when are we going to be back in person? And it's kind of a perpetual, I'm not sure. And so what I can say is that for the spring semesters, we are continuing on as we did in the fall. I checked with some colleagues at other institutions, and it's going to be the same process. So as Jordana was talking about, some of the employer exploration components for veterans, there are some areas such as, you know, nursing and education that have really been hit hard because they can't go in for their clinical work. That hands-on experiential learning that has really to accommodate, and also from the business aspect, because I'm in the College of Business, the view of an internship is quite different. Even if you all have opportunities to where your internships can be, you know, hands-on, virtual internship was something that we didn't consider that much of, but now we're completely relying upon it. Because there are a number of businesses who have not been in their physical office since, you know, a February, March, or April. And so we are definitely changing. We're adapting. We're surviving. I don't know if we're thriving, but we're surviving out here. But that's pretty.
It'll be the day that we all are saying to our kids, remember back when you said how much you wanted to go to school and you missed it.
Right,
just looking forward to that day.
So yeah, that's my update. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. And then Catherine Pendergrass is going to tell us about Union County. And I just wanted to mention, for those who might have to jump off, our next TATT Chat is November 19th. And I know that Dean is very excited that Myra Reese of DHEC is going to be with us. So Catherine, take it away.
Hi, thank you. Quick, short, sweet, because most of this stuff I'm sure you heard from Jamie or Curtis or one of the others, but just a quick update, and I'm going to piggyback off of USC, because USC, the enrollment in Union County, USC Union, has actually doubled over time. And the reason I mentioned that is because we went down to participate in the South Carolina Association of Counties. We submitted for 2 awards where we received the honorable mention from one of the awards, and we were thrilled with that. And it was the J. Mitchell Graham Award, and it had to do, what we submitted had to do with higher education and workforce development or workforce training. And so we were excited to just be mentioned or to receive honorable mention. A couple other things going on. Perhaps you all have heard that our Bilo grocery store is closing, which we really, really hate. But another grocer is opening up. It's called KJ, and it's in the IGA family. So that will happen December 5th. Bilo is closing December 11th. KJ is opening. The sign has gone up for roses. So I'm sure you heard that we now have roses, and we're excited about that. On the ballot this time was alcohol sales in the city. So that's going to prove to be something interesting. I'm sure there will be restaurants wanting to open downtown because now alcohol can be sold on Sundays. We are having a drive-in movie at the fairgrounds. We are doing this on, I think, the 19th of this month. And we're excited about that. We're not making any money, but it's giving people an opportunity to have some type of escape, some type of entertainment. So that's coming up. There are a couple of, I don't know how many people are into coon hunting, but there's the Coon Hunters event that's coming up. No spectators, it's just for the hunters. And there, with the school system, we have Union Reads. And the goal there is to encourage, we want to increase literacy in Union County. And we are saying that Union loves to read. There's some strategic partnerships to help with this. So we're moving right along on that. We're going to have a drive-through testing, drive-through COVID testing at the stadium. That will be December the, I'm not sure, December 7th, I believe. We will have a Christmas parade. And then let me just mention these two things and I'm finished. Jonesville is having a reveal. They have, they're going to share their comprehensive plan on December 19th. And then for us, Union County, we're sharing our comp plan with the focus group. As a matter of fact, it's going out to them on tomorrow. They'll have 10 days to make any suggestions, edits, or whatever. And then we're going to post it on the website for the public to view. So that's the update from Union County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations. I know that was a big journey, like getting that comp plan done.
Yes.
All righty. Mayor Roberts is going to wrap us up.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody joining us today, in particular our guest presentation from Jordana. We learned a lot about your services and how you help veterans. It's always good to hear what's going on in the upstate, and there's a lot of good stuff that we should be proud of. I will mention before we go, we had a networking event last night in Fountain Inn. I think we called it Sandwiches and Suds. It was the 2020 version of pizza and beer, but it was good to be with, we had a panel of the Golden Strip mayors, and there's a lot of good things going on in that part of Greenville County. So I hope we continue the momentum. We finish the year strong, and everybody have a good weekend. And we'll see you on the 19th at our next TATT Chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks.
Bye.
Everyone.